Okay, I'm going to tie a fly I've been messing with lately. This is a version of a Prince Nymph. I've just substituted some materials for some synthetics. Because I'm using Arizona synthetic dub, I've been calling this the Arizona Prince. And a lot of you have seen pictures of it already on our website. We'll do that. We'll show you how to tie it. Again, as you see, we're tying with a Muskoka Magna vise, an excellent vise. As you see, to get in real tight with this, you can really quickly adjust the position of the hook any way you want with this vise. And so I'll show you kind of how that works as we tie this. First of all, I'm going to seat the bead with some 020 lead with 7 or 8 wraps, or maybe a little bit more. And really with a Prince Nymph, you can add almost as much lead as you want, depending on how heavy you want the fly. And again, I really like to just use lead so it seats the bead where it needs to be. Alright, just take some brown UTC 70. We're going to start it right behind the lead. Just kind of go over the lead a little bit. And then I'm going to tie in some biots on this fly. So I'm going to reposition the hook so I can really get in nice and tight. And for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little ball of dubbing. You saw in maybe some of our other videos that we've just put biot tails in right on the bare hook. But this is kind of another technique that works well. I'm just going to take a tiny amount of Arizona synthetic. On this fly, I'm going to use the peacock color. Just a tiny amount of dubbing and make a little ball right here at the back of the fly. I've got some kind of brownish, olivish biots. You can use any color that you want. I've found that it's been pretty successful to use a darker color in the back and then a lighter color over the top. I've used white over the top, I've used yellow, I've used chartreuse, and then the back just a little bit darker color. So again, I'm going to tie these in just one at a time. And you'll see that this really makes those biots splay out. Alright, now that I have that in, I'm just going to seat the hook how I want it. And up over the back, I'm going to use some holographic tinsel, some UTC holographic tinsel, medium size, and the color is copper. Just tie that in really quick. You'll see that these materials I'm using on a lot of different flies, so very versatile materials, fun to work with. The rib on this fly again is going to be Coats and Clark thread. This color is Summer Brown. Alright. Now the body, the thorax, the abdomen, everything on this fly is going to be the Arizona synthetic dubbing in peacock color. And you know, I really didn't realize how translucent this color was until I got it wet. And there are a lot of fibers in this that'll really show up well once it's in the sunlight and once it's wet. So it's an excellent color. I've used it in a lot of the different flies as of late. Alright, I'm just going to dub that up. And make a taper as you go up the body of the fly. Make it as fat or as skinny as you want it. Okay, we've got our body constructed. I'm going to take the tinsel, I'm going to bring it right up over the back. Tie it in with a few wraps. And then rib it with the Coats and Clark thread. Okay. For the wings, we're going to use some white biots. Again, I'm going to tie those in one at a time. And they should touch right about to the back of the fly. So I'm going to put them in right about the right length. That one's too short, so I'll just do it again. So we've got them both tied in. I like to fold them back over and kind of tie down on top of themselves so it really locks them in place. They won't pull out, they won't shift around while you're fishing them. And we'll cover this all up with dubbing here in just a second. Alright, so on a typical Prince Nymph, you would usually be adding a hackle at this point, or you would have put it down before you put the wings on. But what I've done is I've started tying in the Montana fly's tentacles. I think this is the medium-sized tentacle. They look about like this, and this is the copper color. I really like this because they're super translucent. I'm just going to tie in 3 of these on each side of the fly. So I'm going to tie 3 in on that side, and I'm just going to loop the other 3 over the top of the bead and onto the other side of the fly. It's important that you get several wraps of thread here because there's kind of tension on these, and they'll get all springy on you and pull out. Alright, to finish up the fly, I'm just going to take more of the Arizona synthetic dubbing. If you want a hot spot on this fly, this is a great place to put it. You could just take some orange or some pink or chartreuse. Any of those bright colors would make a really good hot spot on it. Look at that, I barely touched the hook and I drew blood. Okay, I'm just going to cover up those thread wraps with a little bit of dubbing and whip finish. Okay, now all I have to do is trim the legs. I'm going to go about halfway down the body. Don't stretch the legs, just pull them so that they're straight. And halfway down the body, just trim those all at the same length. About like that. So that's the Arizona Prince. I've been fishing it a lot this spring in a bunch of different variations, and it's fished really well for me.